How to stay focused as an entrepreneur. Let's face it, between working at home, having however many devices that we rely on, and just generally being amazing but creative human beings, it's easy to get distracted by our environments. So today, let's look at how to stay focused as an entrepreneur. Hi, my name is Rachel Steininger, and today let's look at some top tips for staying focused as an entrepreneur, as well as some common traps that can take you off focus, things we want to avoid. And then finally, we'll look at an actual solution that makes your creativity and distraction an advantage to your business. Sound great? Let's get started. Let's look at why you're getting off focus in the first place. When you're feeling that itch to get distracted, what's going on? Why is this important? Because when we understand the cause of the distraction, we can best match it with a strategy to beat it. Here's one of the first ones. You aren't in a focused environment. I know that for me personally, in COVID, one of the things I've missed the most is the ability to walk to my local coffee shop and work there for a change of pace. Often I wouldn't even open my computer, but work off paper only. The different space meant my brain was ready to work at a different pace and a different way. I could get away from the day-to-day noise of the business and focus. But obviously in COVID, that hasn't worked. For a while, I could handle moving from the office to, say, the dining room or the kitchen, but even that wore off for a bit. But I started thinking about what had worked for me in the past, and I realized that after having one in my corporate office space for years, I just bought an L-shaped desk for my home office. It allows me to do computer work on one side and deep work on the other. It may not be just as simple as that, but I don't see everything at once. And while it's not a perfectly clear workspace, I'm not the most tidy, it's a way of hacking my brain to think differently about my environment. And it can be just as good as upgrading or changing the style or the place that you work in itself. So take a look at your workspace. It may be that just with some simple fixes, you can make yourself more focused. You can allow yourself to be more focused in an environment that is clear. Take a look around. Do you have clutter? Do you have things distracting you? Do you have a lot of the noise of the day-to-day coming in at you? If you can separate that space even a tiny little bit, like I did with the L-shaped desk, you might be able to see big results in your focus. Are you able to manage your space accordingly? Let me know in the comments below how little hacks like that can help you with your focus. Now let's take a look at the brain in overwhelm. As creative entrepreneurs, there are no lack of ideas or thoughts coming our way, and sometimes it's just way too much for our brain to handle. So take a brain break. As I was writing up the notes for this and other videos to film, I realized this was happening to me. So I decided to take my own advice. I stood up, I moved around, I stretched, and I looked and focused on the big picture for a moment. I looked at how the work I was doing connected into a bigger picture and time frame and allowed my brain a little bit of space. That meant that when I sat back down, my brain was clear again and I could focus on doing the work. Sometimes, whether that's standing up for a quick stretch or maybe a quick meditation or breathing exercise can be helpful too, especially if the overwhelm has some emotional elements to it. But in this case, my brain just needed to lift itself out of the details for a moment, and I was able to sit back down and get back to the video script. Now, what if it's not actually you at all that needs to get focused? Let's talk about that in a moment, but right now, hit that subscribe button. I drop a new video each week to help you make the most of your visionary leadership, and I know you don't want to miss out. Let's talk about this last one, whether this is actually on you or not. I thought of all the other hacks to give you, like putting away the phone, setting screen time limits, or using those extensions on your internet browser to keep tangential thoughts to a minimum. And those are all great. But to be honest, a lot of unfocused entrepreneurs that I see, it's not really about them. Don't get me wrong, I believe strongly in personal development, but there is a solution beyond your own self-work in which you and your creativity and your distraction become an asset. But many entrepreneurs get stuck. They beat themselves up for being unfocused or thinking they need to level up when it's really on their business. I had one client that through just one simple framework realized it was not all on him. That in fact, he couldn't up-level his way out of the feeling of being unfocused and instead had an easy path through his business to allow his creativity and distraction to be the biggest asset and value driver for his growth. Because of this, I'm going to encourage you to take a quick assessment. You'll find in the links below an assessment where you can answer whether you are obsessed with the entrepreneurial struggle, and if so, what to do about it. Because you might just find the key is inside your business, not inside you. So as we've talked about how to focus as an entrepreneur, I hope you've gotten some great options, things you can do with your environment, things that you can do and taking that brain break, getting a little bit of space in your day, and maybe it's not actually you after all. So as we close out for today, I hope this has been helpful. I would love to see you subscribe so you don't miss out on weekly videos, and I will see you next week.